My dear colleagues, my dear new colleagues, and their sponsors. It is a curious thing, this society that we live in. If you're curious for miracles, the very existence is an unbelievable miracle. Roger Penrose, who received the Nobel Prize for Physics 5 years ago, recently calculated the spontaneous probability of formation of stars. Stars are the most primitive celestial objects that we know, far removed from the complexity of planets, let alone life, let alone human life. The probability of a spontaneous formation of stars is 1 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. Not 1 times 10 to the power of 123, but 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 123. Now, if you can't imagine that number, don't worry. Your teachers did a great job anyway. If you'd like to write this number down and all the matter in the known universe would turn into ink, it would not be enough. Since I graduated myself, not so far ago, I have begun to look at the world from 3 perspectives. Body, this is the tangible stuff made of atoms and other baryonic matter. Soul, which is a word that I use for something that's objectively real, but intangible. For example, mathematics, law, money, language. The structure of the company in which you work doesn't exist in the physical world, but it is objectively very real. This is the software of the society. And then the third element is something that I call the spirit. This is the same term that Hegel used when he was describing the Weltgeist. In German language, the word for social sciences is Geisteswissenschaft, spiritual sciences. And it is the same term that John Maynard Keynes, one of the greatest economists of the last century, has used repeatedly, and perhaps this is the most famous term from all his work, and that is the anima spirit. Not animal spirit, but animating spirit, something that makes you tick, something that the French would perhaps call raison d'être, or we Czechs and Slovaks would use the word životní elán, a rigor, something that pulls you forward. Everything that is created, everything that exists fits into, not exclusively, but one of these 3 categories. If you look at the evolution of mankind and economics especially, all the way throughout the thousands of years of human evolution, most notably the last 6,000 years of written human evolution since the time of Samaria, we have labored and toiled in the body area. We've used our physical bodies to bring forth physical potatoes, those we ate, in order so that we can work on the same field the next day. 200 years ago, we have emancipated our economy from matter labor, and we have moved into the realm of the soul. We have no longer exercised our bodies, we have exercised our minds. We have downloaded software, English, math, physics, chemistry, marketing, technical skills. This we have been strengthening for the last 200 years to the point that the physical component of our economy, take for example agriculture, is today below 2%. It only takes 2% of the energy of our society to produce all that beer and all those lobsters and cakes and chips and chocolate. Like our bodies have been substituted with machines 200 years ago, who today work in our stead, and the evolution of strength has derailed from biological power into the power of machines, so too, today, the soul power is being substituted by machine learning. The question is, ahead of you more than ever before in the history of this beautiful planet, where will human beings evacuate? We cannot go back to the body. Even the strongest MMA fighter would lose to a simple Trabant or a bulldozer. And we cannot for too long stay in the competition of our intelligence with artificial intelligence, with machine learning. The only realm that is for us to occupy in the future, starting perhaps from now, or maybe 2 weeks more, will be the area of this spirit. Now, what do we mean by this murky spirit? Well, spirit is something that cannot be analyzed. Spirit is something that cannot be divided. Spirit is something that cannot be symbolized. It cannot be objectively agreed upon. It is the experience of a concert that we all hear. The same music, the same body of violins is playing. The air is waving in the same structure of the tones. But one person will enjoy it very much and the other one not. And then when they leave the concerts, they speak in very weird language. One may say that it was too orange, or it was too I don't know what, but I didn't like it. It is the area of will, it is the area of purpose, it is the area of psychology, it is the area of human relations, it is the area of purpose. Let me now read my favorite piece of literature, which comes from Franz Kafka. I enjoyed it since the time that I was studying, and I never really had an opportunity to read it out loud. Now I have. There's also other reason why I can read it out loud as an economist. It is the most economic story in the history of the world. It has only one sentence. What I'm going to read to you is not a quote, it's the whole story. And it also summarizes the lectures that I have been talking about economics and the development of mankind throughout the ages, all the way up till today, and perhaps a little bit into the future. The story is called The Wish to be a Red Indian, and it is also one of the most complicated stories that Kafka wrote. I think he compensated brevity for depth. If only one could be a Red Indian, always alert, leaning forward on a running horse, quivering again and again with the short jerks of the ground, till he let go of the spurs, for there are no spurs. Threw away the reins, for there are no reins, and would hardly see the smoothly shorn land ahead, already without the horse's neck and without the horse's head. What does this mean? What did Franz Kafka intend to convey in this short story? Well, doesn't this really well summarize the situation in which we as mankind are right now in almost a prophetic way? In the beginning, we wanted to be free. What is a better image of freedom than a red Indian running on a wild horse across the openness of the prairie? But he's still in contact with the ground. He still feels the physical quirks of the ground. And then he learns in the second part of the sentence that the horse was doing whatever it wanted anyway. There are no spurs, there are no reins. The horse, the energy, the spirit on which you are riding seems at times controllable. When you pull left, sometimes it goes left, but also you have experience, and especially you more mature people have experienced that when you want to turn the horse left, it very often goes straight or right. And when you want to speed up the horse slows down. And when you want to slow down the horse speeds up. But there is still the horse. And as the story ends, this red Indian learns that there is no more ground, there is no more reins, they never worked, and there is no more horse. And there never was a horse. Let me welcome you to the world which is done into our making, but not completely by us. We have learned as economists that wealth creation and riches and growth of riches is not an exclusive feature of capitalism. It is also not an exclusive feature of economy. Growing riches and wealth is also not an exclusive feature of living organisms. Growth of wealth and complexity is a feature of the universe. 13.7 billion years ago, when the universe was young, the universe was also very poor. Nothing except for loose atoms of hydrogen, helium, and a little bit of lithium existed. The universe was dark for hundreds of millions of years with no stars in them. It was a poor universe. It was a simple universe. If you studied chemistry at those days, you would only have 3 elements on the periodic table. The heavier elements were not forged yet. And then out of this darkness, as if led by some unseen force, stars started shining lights. And then stars started emitting proto-planetary accretion disks, from which later planets were forged. And the planet on which you were born happens to be the richest entity in the known universe. We have all stable elements of the periodic table. There is no other place that we've seen in the darkness of the universe that is fractionally as rich in elements and in complexity as our planet. And then something even stranger and more rich sprung into existence. A combination of stones and water suddenly started moving, and life was begun. A simple amoeba is way more complex than any complex solar objects that we can see with our telescopes. And then life, as it began, it grew in riches till today. We are riders of a horse that we don't really ride, even though you've been learning for all these years how to ride the horse of your subject. You also, if you come to the depth that you deserve to see, you must have already discovered that we don't control none of these elements. We don't understand economics, we don't understand sociology, we don't understand politics, we don't understand physics, we don't even know why things fall down, to be quite honest. And interestingly enough, there is no field in the history of science that has reached the bedrock, so to speak. There is no field of human inquiry where we could say, okay, we're done, we now understand, I don't know, physics or economics. It seems to like that after the first year of study. This is also where I personally understood economics the most. When I read the first book of Samuelson, I thought, what are they going to teach us the remaining years? It's pretty clear. If you want higher inflation, just decrease interest rates, and you have to also expect lower levels of unemployment. And it's simple. It's a simple car to drive. But with every additional book, we learned that the matter is not so simple, and there is not a single field where we reached the end and where all our questions have been answered. On the contrary, we have better and more sophisticated questions. I will read this one more time but as a conclusion, but before I read it now again, maybe it will make more sense. I would like to wish you the strength of a spirit. The diplomas that you will receive today, you swear on it, don't you? It's the only time that you swear in your life, by the way. You do marriage vows. I always have a hard time pronouncing that word. It's something between a vow and wow. But that's a vow, and this is, you swear. This is the only time in your life, perhaps most likely, that you will swear. And you will swear that what you've learned at the expense of your parents is something that you must not keep for yourself. It is not yours. It is society's. We have chosen you, the brightest of the bright, to invest the best thing that we have into you in order for you to make you swear that you will return it back to the society. I think we should take some of the diplomas that we gave in the past back for people who break and breach this oath. I wish you a lot of spirit. I wish you guidance in life. I wish you that you understand the meaning. I would like to bless you and give you the power, if it was in my power, to understand everything that you see, to be curious, to see the spirit of things, to see and to understand. Partially. It is also interesting that in the English language we have chosen the word understand for understanding. It is not overstanding. If I would be forging language, I would say overstand it. But the wisdom of language, also not crafted in our universities, is teaching us that in order to understand something, we must stand under it, not over it, not above it, not next to it, not even in it. We must understand in order to understand. I wish you a lot of stamina, and anima spirit. I wish you that your parents and the society and your teachers would be proud that they had the honor of having your brilliance under their shepherdship for those years. Franz Kafka, The Wish to be a Red Indian. If only one could be a red Indian, always alert, leaning forward on a running horse, quivering again and again with the short jerks of the ground, till he let go of the spurs, for there are no spurs, threw away the reins, for there are no reins, and would hardly see the smoothly shorn land ahead, already without the horse's neck and head. Thank you.